So there are certain cases where a training test split might actually be better than cross-validation. So training test split is usually the default way through which most machine learning students learn how to test algorithms, and then they get exposed to cross-validation, which is a better way of testing. However, in deep learning, and that's probably one of the few exceptions, it might actually make more sense to use a train test split as opposed to a cross-validation. Why? First of all, deep neural networks are quite often used in domains where there's huge volumes of data, right? Huge volumes of data. So cross-validation is simply very, very slow in this case. Secondly, deep neural networks apparently they don't really overfit if you give them enough data. All right. And third, if you are in a domain such as image recognition, where you're dealing with very large volumes of data, but also the kind of data that you're using is coming from a domain that's relatively static, then you don't necessarily need to use cross-validation, because both in the training and the test set, you're going to have enough representative examples of all classes. And what I mean by static domain, again, if you're doing things like object recognition, like, I don't know, if you want to detect animals, for example, animals, they're more or less, they're going to stay looking the same way for the next, I don't know, like 500 years or 1,000 years or whatever, right? So it's not like a rapidly shifting domain. So if you have, let's say, 1 million images of dogs in different settings, then you can be sure that if you use, 9 million of those in a training set and then 1 million for testing, you're probably going to have a good representation of any type of dog in pretty much any kind of setting that is out there. So this is one of the few cases where a training test split actually makes more sense as opposed to cross-validation. But for most other cases, you want to go for cross-validation, and really for most algorithms other than deep learning.